to the Lateka S. Carter Show. I am your host, Lateka S. Carter, and let me tell you something. You are in for another treat. I hope you have been enjoying the shows that we've been broadcasting to you, but let me tell you, this young lady, I am so excited to bring her on the show just to have a little talk with you, right? Just to encourage you. And of course, I'm broadcasting out of the Queen City, representing here, Charlotte, North Carolina. So, listen, this young lady, I had a show that I did years ago, out of Greensboro, North Carolina, with the help of Saeed. Right. So, with that being said, we had a show, and I think it was a part of my radio personality named Diva's Boss Lady Talk Show. So this young lady was on the show, and she was talking about her life and what she had gone through, which it was major, right? But now you're getting ready to see for yourself, and you're getting ready to hear a little bit of what she talked about then to see where she is now, so you can celebrate her life like I'm celebrating her life. So let's go ahead and bring to this segment here LyTisa, Lady Greene. Welcome on into the Lateka S. Carter Show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited to have you here. Wow. So I think this was 10 years ago, maybe. We were
Yes.
sitting in a different atmosphere,
Yes.
different versions of
Yes.
ourselves. Not just one or
Yes.
two, but different versions of ourselves. So if
6 or
you could
7.
please just share with the audience in your own words who you are and what you do.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am LyTisa Greene. I'm best known as Lady. I am a creative consultant. I met Miss Lateka on her talk show about 10 years ago. It was the first time of me sharing my story, sharing my truth, and it was just a great experience meeting her. And so moving on, once I shared my story with her, I started getting all of these interviews and people wanting to know who I was.
I did
Mhm.
not know
And
that.
I started getting invited to speak at domestic violence shelters and helping teenage parents that were going through the same thing that I went through. And it just grew from there. And then I became a published author because of the same story, Flawed Up. That I met with you on your show and telling about my story. And my book, it put me in another league. And when people began to read my truth and read my story, they were able to resonate with it. And then I began to grow, and people wanted to know more. And so that story just expanded to a whole fashion brand and Flawed Up, which gave me the ability to help women to embrace their flaws, to embrace who they are, and to love themselves beyond their flaws, and to embrace it, and to actually turn your weaknesses into strengths, and to look at it in a different light. And so I was able to just take that brand, and it started out fashion, makeup. Then it went to the book. The book then created consulting, businesses, partnerships, government work, all because I started sharing my truth and the things that I went through. And it just expanded. And I'm here today because of it. And I'm so thankful to God that I'm still here to tell my story from a different perspective. The difference between being on the first TV show and this one now is that I'm healed and I'm in a different version.
Oh my God.
It's been amazing.
I need to bring the tissue a little bit closer so I can grab it. I'll just say that one more time. The different
It's a different version of me, a different perspective. I embrace my flaws, and I flip my perspective, and I let go of the blame, and I became that champion. I was no longer a survivor. I really became that champion that you told me I was, and I'm here today.
Use the tissue after the break. Wow, this is all. You came in and we had you were on ABC.
Yes.
That one episode, because it wasn't a repeat, it was just on ABC that one night. And you mean to tell me after that, because you told your truth, you
Yes.
got in front of the fear? Because if I'm not mistaken, that was your first time really speaking out about what you had gone through, right?
Yes, my very first time. My family did not know that I was sharing my story. Oh my goodness. What I tell you, woo!
Oh,
How dare you? And that's what landed me in Texas. But I was able to open up the box, and now things that might would have took place in my family no longer take place. So I take
you
credit
broke
for
the,
being it. Yeah,
come on, you broke
I,
that
I
chain.
take credit for being a generational curse breaker in my
Come on, you
family.
better, girl. You know, come on, lady. You
Yes,
better. So
yes.
listen, I know people on here like, okay, well, what happened? So just share, just take a few moments and really share the parts of before all of this, right? What happened? What's your story? What happened before Flawed Up?
Before Flawed Up, I lived a totally different lifestyle. Um, I was different. I was into the streets. I was a street girl. I wasn't a street walker. I was the one who was in the streets,
Come
making
on.
moves and doing things. I
Yeah.
made calls. I did what I had to do, and I was very operating in my masculine energy. And I got into a lot of stuff. And how that came about was being molested and raped multiple times in my own family unit, my family dynamic, and not really having anyone that had spoke up, because this is a generational curse that I
Come
had to
on.
break in my family. They were not comfortable, still not comfortable with speaking up of the things that happened to them. But
Of course
because
not.
I shared my truth, now the girls that are coming up under me, or the guys that are coming up under me and my family, they like, oh nah, because lady done shared her story,
Come
so
on.
this is not right, and we're gonna talk about it. And so
We're
I'm
gonna talk
thankful for
about it.
that. Coming from that, I was a teenage parent, looking for love in all the right places, because that's what I knew. And
Mhm.
I was a rider for my guys, and I got into a lot of domestic violence situations because of that. To this day, I have not got any apologies, and I don't expect them. But just to look at my life and to look at my children, and how they have grown, I am amazed at what God has done in my life, from my story, from molestation to homelessness to drug abuse, to just being in the streets, doing what I had to do. And I did a lot of that. Prison. I did a lot of things in my life to prove that I wasn't a certain type of person. And
Mm.
that put me in such a survival mode that
Mm.
was not my true nature.
My God.
My true nature is who I am now. I'm soft. I'm
Mhm.
lady. I'm just
You're
I
not
just
that
like,
street.
yeah, like I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm like, and I be seeing all the young people coming up, and I be like, and you can't judge. You just have to use my consultant to help them. Like, girl, being a ride or die chick is gonna
Yeah.
land you here. Just be a
Yeah.
ride or die for yourself. You
Come
know,
on. Say
you
that
know,
one more time. Come
be
on,
a
say it
ride or die for yourself,
for
and
yourself.
yourself,
Yes.
and love yourself. Because if I knew then what I knew now, I would have made changes. Even though I'm thankful for the things I went through, I'm tired of being recognized for just my resilience. I want to be recognized for being able to come out of the hard shell. That's what people seeing me now as. That's a big accomplishment for me. For
Yes.
people seeing me as soft, as like, there's nowhere that I go now where my door is not being open. My husband, he treats me with so much honor and respect that even people out in the world treat me like that, and I don't have to be like all hard. And so
Yeah.
now more people are saying to me, like, they're proud of me for coming out of survival, instead of
Yeah.
like, Oh, girl, you did that. You're so strong. I'm like, I had to come to the point where that was an accolade, that was an accomplishment. But now, can I be strong enough to sit with myself?
Come on.
Can I be strong enough to go to therapy for my children? Can I be strong enough to really homeschool my children, sit down, really stand up for myself in the courtroom, in the justice system, and learn? And I started to use my mind more. And instead of using these, I started using this more. And networking and things have took me from before Flawed Up, the molested girl, the outcast, the
come on, you don't want to be known as
teenage
that.
parent,
That.
yes, right. and losing my children to CPS, my oldest children, and still not being able to live that down. Even though my children are in my life, I've been there for them. I fought the government. I fought for my babies. And I'm still there in their life right now today. And I still cannot live that story down from the people who say they love me the most. And so being able to be in this position and getting awards and being able to still tell my truth, and the same story that I once was ashamed of getting my children taken away, is the same story that's getting me to, my voice is being heard in the courtroom. My voice is being heard to help other women, help other teenage mothers. Do not give your children up, because I'm going to tell you the truth. Now that my children are grown, my younger children are in a better position than my older children because they had me.
Yes.
And if I would have knew that, then I wouldn't have been thinking those people were better than me to raise my children. And I love them. But the truth of the matter is they didn't do right. And my story that I'm living now is the after effect of Flawed Up. The truth that I have to accept. Now, I always tell my children, you are, even if you are innocent in a decision that you make, you are not exempt from the consequences that come along with it. And so I tell them that all the time, like, I'm cool. Tell me how you feel. Tell me, how you feel. And even with living with me and going through challenges, they have been taught another version of me that never existed. And so coming into the dynamic that I built and I'm building with my husband, they're looking for the woman that they were told about. And I'm not her.
Come on.
Clash. And it's like, where's she at? Where's the mean person? Where's the mama that don't care?
Right.
And I've never been that. And so that's the friction. And that is what CPS does to family dynamics. And so if a young lady is listening to me right now, keep your babies.
Come on.
Keep your children, because when they get 14, 15, 16, and they start turning into you, and those people can't deal with them no more, you're going to realize that you should have believed in yourself. But I understand that you can't believe in yourself because you only know what you know at that point. And so that's why I'm here. So, because I am a walking billboard for God.
Come on.
And even though I do things that people be like, what is she doing? Let me tell you, God got his hand on me. God,
oh my God.
And I'm living in my truth. And when I get ready to get up and I speak with authority and conviction, and I know what I'm talking about. And when I do open my mouth, I got something to say. And my consultant work is to help other women in all aspects of that.
Yeah, and when we come back, we're gonna move on into that. My God.
Yes, ma'am.
Woo! I'm so glad to have you on the show. We'll be right back after this break. And we're back on the Lateka S. Carter Show. Of course, I am your host. Again, if you're just tuning in, Lateka S. Carter. Boy, listen, I know this show. If you're just tuning in, you got to go to my on-demand channel. And you got to watch this from the beginning. All right? Because, listen, she's a powerhouse. Just to hear her story, hear the guest that we have here, LyTisa Lady Greene, to hear her story of what she had to do, what she went through, how she had to fight internally to get to where she was, fight the justice system, fight her family, fight whomever. She took it from the streets and she took it to the places that matter. And now she's here being a billboard for God, shining the light for the kingdom's use, which means kingdom service. So we have her here, and before the break, we kind of spent into this flowed up. So it's like you have this consulting firm that is a holistic therapy company. However, it's Millennial Housewives, which is your brand label. So let's talk about that flawed up and how you got into what is Millennial Housewives. I'm thinking about like a reality show. What is this? So just bring us in and help us to know what it is.
All right, Millennial Housewives came about because Flawed Up was the first. That was where everything came from, but when it expanded and I started getting like speaking engagements, my engagements started turning into more diverse backgrounds, like government work, government ministry, speaking in domestic violence shelters. And I was like, Flawed Up was kind of like, it started kind of getting like, it's not fun. Like Flawed Up is like,
yeah, it's all that fashion, right? What's popping? It's the culture. Right.
Yes. Even now, Flawed Up has transitioned to it's a streetwear company. Okay, so I went from having a boutique, Flawed Up. All of it was to bring everything together with my story, and women wanted to know, because I was a plus size woman. Women wanted to know, how did I get my confidence? How did I do that? And so Flawed Up was more like a confidence consultant firm. So I would have photo shoots, build women with plus size. I would build their confidence. I would style them, but it was more like building their mind and their confidence. And so when it expanded, I couldn't take that kind of concept into the government. And my nonprofit organization for teenage parents was hidden. I didn't really want that on the forefront because I didn't know where. I knew I wanted to help teenage parents, but I didn't want to get in bed with the same people who did what they did to my dynamics. So like, and then protecting my family now in all of that,
Right.
So I was like, nah, Flawed Up didn't. So I had to go in prayer. I closed down my first boutique, and I was like, I felt like a failure.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I did. I felt like I failed. I felt like, and just not having support, not having much support, being in a whole city, not knowing the whole state, not knowing people. I had to really just figure it out. And having a brick and mortar at that time, it was growing, but it just wasn't clicking, and all the other new opportunities that I was getting. So my husband was like, you are a really great business consultant. Like, you do a lot of great consulting work. I helped him start our trucking company, grants, everything, because I had the time to study about grants and contracts when we first moved to Texas, and everything. I had time for that. But Flawed Up didn't sound like a name for
for a nonprofit.
If you follow me from the beginning, you're like, Flawed Up Consulting Agency. Okay. She got this, she this. Wait a minute, she all over. Oh no! But this whole time, I know what's in my brain. I know what I'm building. It just was bricks that I was adding to it. And so I'm like, COVID happened.
Oh.
Once COVID happened, now I went from Flawed Up, and I said, I need to pull back. I need to pray. And so I closed my boutique, and I went in myself, and that started bringing me closer and closer to God. And that's what got me into my holistic therapy.
Come on.
Because before Flawed Up, the molestation, the rape, all that stuff, all the things I went through, if I were going to come out of survival mode, I had to learn how to heal myself holistically,
Yes.
because I'm trying to go through all of the answers to people that's not giving me answers, that's not talking to me, that's not telling me how I can maneuver with this, how can I heal this. I'm ready to move on from this part of my story and go to the next part. How do I do that? And that's what made me get involved with Reiki healing and holistic therapy, because while it's looked at as evil, it helped me from committing suicide. It
Wow.
helped me to get in tune with God. Even Jesus, even Jesus studied in Tibetan for a season, because when you're going through your emotions and you bearing your cross and you don't have nobody that you can explain that to, you have to go within. There has to be a spiritual self, a holistic therapy that you have to do. And yoga, meditation, sound therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
Sound therapy, yoga, meditation, that was mine. That's what
Okay.
kept me. And that's what gave me, I had to hear from God. I
Yeah.
had to hear. And as long as I was trying to find other therapists, trying to go all throughout the world to heal my issue, instead of going within, I was never going to be at this place where I'm at now. And so got into my holistic, and I lost even more people, because now I'm in holistic therapy. Oh,
Yeah.
she a witch. I am not a witch. I believe in God. God got his hand all over my life. And let me tell you something. I will never do anything to harm people in that type of manner. But I do know people that operate in that do call me that. I know that they're operating that spirit. I'm very prophetic as well, but I just don't display my things. I let God deal with me on the inside. So in my holistic therapy, I lost even more people, and then COVID happened. Once COVID happened, my husband was on the road in our trucking company, and I got robbed. When I got robbed, my husband came in on the truck. He packed up me and our 4 youngest children, and he took us on the road with him. We on the road. We learned adventures. I began to pull together this consultant work. And the consultant work, I started like learning how to package things, to package my story to help other women. And at that time, I was able to cross over from survival mode. Finally, even though my husband had been taking me out of it, I was able to cross over on my own from my holistic therapy. So as that happened, COVID happened, people started getting sick. Now me, I've already been in the kitchen studying the science of food, and I've already been feeding my family for 5 years sea moss and elderberry and homeschooling my own children.
Wow.
So
You're already there.
my consulting company, boom, it just grew.
Awesome.
Give me this herb, send me these herbs, tell me how to homeschool my children. We got these kids, how do we deal with it? And I was telling them, now you see, I told y'all the shots and stuff, my children was protected. And I thank the Lord, because even through all of that, we were in states. We were in Colorado, we were in Canada, we were all over the place in our truck. And God shielded us from sickness. So me and my children and my husband were able to experience COVID on the outside, to see that the media and stuff were portraying it in a different way. So God protected us, and I was able to get more, and my consultant company just grew. And Flawed Up started, and I said, no, I don't want Flawed Up. I still want to make sure that I keep my story. And so I started trying to figure out how can I separate it, not knowing all along this was the dream. This was my 3 parts that I've always talked about that I wanted: in holistic therapy, in business, and fashion. And I didn't know how to put it all together. That's how Millennial Housewives came about, because I finally transitioned into being a housewife in my capacity, and still being a helpmate, still being a business owner, still being, honorable in who I am as a matriarch, because that's who I'm becoming. And not feeling like I'm a survivor, I'm so strong. I was able to transition that, the holistic therapy and Flawed Up and my story from before Flawed Up into a whole dynamic, which is Millennial Housewives. And most women, but my company, I'm able to solve a problem because when you have things that happen in the world like COVID and things, and the husband has to be out, even if you never experienced being a housewife, you have to become that. Even if you are working, you still have to become that. And so I wanted to put a name on it that give us ladies like that who still gotta still do their thing, but they still a housewife. They still there. We still build businesses. You know,
we still build businesses.
Still build our children. And nobody can, and I built it from a triggering place because nobody can ever just say you are just a housewife ever again. Because I'm gonna say, Google me and then Google the hashtag Millennial Housewives, and then all what's gonna come up is Flawed Up, LyTisa Greene, Wismology, LyTisa G Consulting, my music, all of the people I've helped, all of the interviews, the magazines, the awards, everything that comes up. And nobody can ever Google me and say, she's just a housewife. And nobody can ever Google me and say, here's her mugshot. Because once you Google me through AI now, all of everything that God has blessed me to become his billboard is up there. And so
amen. Come on. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Listen. I wish we had a show that was longer, right? Yeah. But we're going to take a break and we'll be right back so you can see how to connect with LyTisa. Can you tell the audience how they can connect with you, LyTisa?
Okay, I had a great time. You all can connect with me, of course, on Facebook at LyTisa Greene, IG at LyTisa G, TikTok at LyTisa G, and TikTok at Millennial Housewives. You also can take part of any of my services on www.LyTisaG.com. Thank you for letting me share, and I cannot wait to connect with you all.
Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. How to love beyond the flaws and hurt. Thank you. And I'm so super proud of you. We'll be in touch again. But it also matters what you're doing with your story. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to think that you can't get any further than where you are right now. We continue to bring guests on the show to let you know that you can rise above your adversities. You can live your best life. So I hope you have enjoyed our show today. Until the next episode, peace and blessings.
She empowers, inspires, educates, and provokes change.